If we will say what is accounting ratio, you can we will have to understand the ratios first. So what is ratio? So ratio is relationship between two figures expressed in arithmetical terms. It's called ratio. As I expressed that two figures are compared, brought together, so that their relationship, which is more, which is less, more by how much, or if any value, any figure is less, by how much it is compared, their relationship is found, and that is expressed, then it is only known as ratio. In the words of R. N. Anthony, we can say a ratio is simply one number expressed in the terms of another. We used to take a base, and on the basis of that base we express the another number, that is only called as ratio. It is found by dividing one number into the other. I think you all are aware with this. Now what is accounting ratio? This is the meaning of ratio. This is a arithmetical term, but we have to go through the term accounting ratio. Now we will try to understand what is accounting ratio. So accounting ratio are those that are based on financial statements and express an arithmetical relation, means the figures which will be used to make the ratios will be from our what, will be from our financial statements. That's why they will be termed as accounting ratios. Is it clear to all? Now we will finally understand the objective. Why this accounting ratio? I hope you, out of you all, number of persons are knowing the objective. Why we are calculating, doing all these accounting ratios? The purpose is to analyze the financial statement of a company. But why analysis is done? That you all must have the knowledge about. So here you can see the objective of ratio analysis: to identify problem areas. I have discussed that analysis is done by various users of the financial statements. It may be owner, it may be manager, it may be supplier, it may be government, it may be lenders, it may be suppliers. So all the users of the financial statement used to do this analysis work. So from that aspect, the objective is very broad. So some of the objectives are listed over here. So first objective is to identify problem areas. By analyzing, we can find out the problematic areas where we have to work. Next is to measure profitability. As I told you that simply by the going through the volume of the profit, we cannot say it is a profitable organization. By comparing, we can conclude that whether actually it is profitable or not profitable or less profitable. So to measure profits, these ratio analysis is also useful. Next is to ascertain operational efficiency. How efficiently we are operating our business, running our organization. If you want to know this, we have to take the help of this ratio analysis, then only we can efficiently uh, ascertain our operational efficiency. Well, here you can see. Next is to facilitate comparative analysis. By ratio we can compare. Likewise, I have told you that suppose there is a firm A and another firm naming B. A is earning profit 2 lakh, okay, B is earning profit 3 lakh. So if we will see this profit amount only, obviously we will say that B is good firm, B is doing more, B is doing better as they are earning more profit. But when we will compare this 2 lakh earnings with the total sales, suppose they have earned 2 lakh by doing the business of 5 lakh, turnover is 5 lakh, and the business B has earned a profit of 3 lakh by doing a business of turnover of 10 lakh. Now, which is better? B is better or A is better? A is better, because if you will convert this, 2 by 5 is greater than 3 by 10. 2 by 5 is greater than 3 by 10. So, A is doing the business more efficiently. How we came to know? By comparing these two values, that is earning and the sales. If we will not compare, we will not able to ascertain that whether A is good or B is good. So, in this way, this ratio analysis help us the management, help us the managers, help the owner to take the necessary uh, actions for the future, isn't it? Are you all understanding? Okay. Now next, as I have discussed yesterday also, that ratios, that is accounting ratios, can be classified, and it can be classified into four parts. The very first part is liquidity ratio, which is also known as short term solvency ratios. Second is solvency ratios, which is also termed as long term solvency ratios. Third is activity or turnover ratio. Activity or turnover ratio. These ratios are for measuring the activity, how actively we are performing, how many times our stock is turning, how many times our debtors are turning, how many times our creditors are turning. So these are the group of ratios which are known as activity or turnover ratios. And the last but not least is the profitability ratio, or we can say they are income ratios. So these are the four groups of ratio which are divided, which we have to understand separately. So today we will discuss about the first group, that is liquidity ratio. Okay. So what is the another name of liquidity ratios? Yes, short term solvency ratio. Now, short term solvency ratios meaning is here. Liquidity ratios meaning is here. Liquidity, the term here is liquidity, refers to the ability of the firm to meet its current liabilities. As you know, the firms have current assets as well as current liabilities. And what is the meaning of current liabilities? What is the meaning of current liability? Yes, one by one. Yes, Ansu. Ansu, give your answer. Okay. So Vedant was also trying. Say your answer. Same. Yes, it is correct. So liabilities which will be paid off or settled within the month of 12 or within a year, within 12 months. So they are known as current liabilities. So current liabilities can be paid or not. The firm has the capacity to pay their current liabilities or not. That we are going to check using this liquidity ratio, and that only the meaning of the word liquidity is. Is it clear? Therefore, these are also called what? I have already told, short term solvency ratio. Now, liquidity under the group liquidity ratio, two ratios are calculated. What are the two ratios? Current ratio and quick ratio. So, one by one, we have to understand what is the formula, how we can calculate, and what are the things we can decide by using this ratios. So, is there any question from this slide? No, no, come to the next. First is current ratio. So, current ratio formula is, here you can see the formula, current assets by current liabilities. Here you can see the formula. What is the formula of current ratio? Current assets divided by current liabilities. Current assets divided by current liabilities. When current assets and current liabilities figures will bring together, and current assets figure will be divided by current liabilities figure, it will be only known as current ratio. Here, current assets means all the current assets we have to include. As you know, current assets have 6 subheads. You have went through the balance sheet ना? इससे पहले वाला चैप्टर में बैलेंस शीट में बताया ना आपको, हेडिंग सब हेडिंग. तो करंट एसेट्स के जितने भी सब हेडिंग है, चाहे वो करंट इन्वेस्टमेंट, इन्वेंट्रीज, excluding, here one important thing is written, excluding spare parts and loose tools. Loose tools are not the inventories, they are actually assets. याद है ना लूज टूल्स किसको बताए थे, भूल गए? Loose tools are those tools which are used by the firm for repairing, but as they have the nominal values, they are not shown as assets. They are treated in inventory, but actually they are not inventory, they are not for reselling purpose. So here they will be excluded because they are not part of current assets. They are shown inside the inventories, but they will not taken here while calculating the ratio as current assets. Is it clear to all? So if it will be given, then we have to exclude. If there is nothing written, means we have nothing to do with that. Next is trade receivables, then cash and cash equivalents, short-term loans and advances, and other current liabilities. All the current assets except spare parts or loose tools, store and spares, all the current assets will be included for taking the value of, getting the value of current assets. हो जाएगा, समझ में आ रहा है बात? Now what will be the value of current liability? ऐसा कुछ है क्या? जैसे करंट एसेट में एक बात आपको पता चला ना कि क्या एक्सक्लूड करना है, तो स्पेयर पार्ट्स अगर कुछ ऐसा होगा तो, और लूज टूल्स और स्टोर्स एंड स्पेयर्स, अगर ये रहेगा तो इसको एक्सक्लूड करना है, अगर नहीं है तो बाकी सभी को लेना है, किसी को छोड़ना नहीं है करंट एसेट्स. करंट लाइबिलिटीज में क्या क्या होंगे? लेट अस सी. इन करंट लाइबिलिटीज हियर यू कैन सी short-term borrowings, all the four heads, trade payables, other current liabilities and short-term provisions. All the liabilities, current liabilities will be taken, nothing will be excluded. Next thing is given is 2:1. And what is this 2:1? This is ideal ratio. Means if any firm's current ratio is 2:1, 2/1 or 2:1, then we can say they are at the best level. Means your current assets must be double in comparison to your current liabilities, not liabilities, current लाइबिलिटीज। यानी आपका करंट लाइबिलिटीज 1 रुपए है तो आपका करंट एसेट्स कितना होना चाहिए? अगर ऐसा है तो यू आर एट द बेस्ट लेवल, इससे बेहतर हो ही नहीं सकता। दैट्स व्हाई 2:1 is known as the ideal ratio or standard ratio of what? Which ratio? Current ratio. So we can say ideal current ratio is how much? 2:1. So this you have to remember. Now, why this ratio is calculated? Here you can find in importance or what it works for. High current ratio, अगर किसी का 2:1 नहीं है, ठीक है, 2:1 तो आप समझ गए ये क्या है? दिस इज द बेस्ट आइडियल रेशियो। सपोज किसी का 3:1 है, मीन्स इट इज हायर देन द आइडियल ना। करंट एसेट्स इज 3 टाइम्स ऑफ द करंट लाइबिलिटी, तो और अच्छी बात है। अच्छी बात है कि नहीं है? हाँ, तो हाई करंट रेशियो shows the ability the firm to pay short term liabilities, whereas low ratio, अगर ये लो है, किसी का मान लीजिए 1.5:1 है, ये तो लो हो गया, आइडियल से नीचे है, पीछे है। So if it is low ratio shows poor liquidity condition of the firm, it means you will not able to pay your liquid liabilities, current liabilities. If it is higher, you can easily pay your current liabilities. So this is the indicator of this ability to meet the current liabilities. Is it clear to all? Okay. Now another ratio under the liquidity ratio is quick ratio, which is also known as liquid ratio. Liquid ratio. I am in the first group. In the first group, that is liquid ratio has two ratios. Liquidity ratios have two ratios. First is current ratio, another is quick ratio, which is also known as liquid ratio. The another name of this ratio is acid test ratio. Is it clear? Yes. And the formula for this liquid ratio or quick ratio or acid test ratio is liquid assets divided by current liabilities. करंट रेशियो का फॉर्मूला क्या था? Current assets. Yes, current assets by current liabilities. Now in place of current assets, when we are taking the liquid assets, then it becomes the quick ratio. तो अंतर समझ में आ रहा है? Are you able to understand the changes? Difference? Okay. Now current assets you all were knowing, but what is this liquid asset? There is nothing like liquid asset in the balance sheet. Have you seen this term in the balance sheet of the companies, liquid assets? कहीं कोई सब हेड है क्या लिक्विड एसेट बोल के? नहीं है ना, पर यहाँ पे तो लिक्विड एसेट हमें यूज करना है, तो लिक्विड एसेट्स वी नीड टू कैलकुलेट। कैसे कैलकुलेट होगा? तो उन्हीं एसेट्स से कैलकुलेट होगा। देखिए कैसे, यहाँ पे नीचे आप देख सकते हो, हियर यू कैन सी लिक्विड एसेट्स इज इक्वल टू करंट एसेट्स माइनस इन्वेंट्रीज। इन्वेंट्रीज आर करंट एसेट्स बट आर नॉट लिक्विड एसेट्स। मैंने आपको कभी बताया है, याद होगा, कि इन्वेंट्रीज को हम करंट एसेट्स कहते हैं, पर वो लिक्विड नहीं है। जैसे कैश या कैसेट बैंक हमारा है, वैसा वो नहीं है। दे विल टेक देयर टाइम टू गेट कन्वर्टेड इनटू कैश। So they are current assets but not liquid assets. Is it clear? Likewise, prepaid expenses are again current assets, but they are not the liquid assets. So these two current assets, that is inventories and prepaid expenses, are excluded to know the amount of what? Liquid assets. So say, so simple it is, nothing technical over here. When we are talking about the liquid assets, means it is current assets excluding inventories and prepaid expenses. That's all. Means all other things will be taken, that is current investment, current loans and advances, other current liabilities, cash and cash equivalent, everything will be taken except these two items, that is inventories and prepaid expenses. Is it clear to all? And what about this current liabilities? So current liabilities, as earlier discussed, that total all the liabilities which are which have the nature of current, they will be taken over here also. Means same as we have taken in current ratio. Now we will go through one question for better understanding. तो formula याद हो गया? So simple it is. इसके बारे में कुछ और बात है, देख लीजिए, जैसे स्टैंडर्ड रेशियो, आइडियल रेशियो, करंट रेशियो का कितना था और लिक्विड रेशियो का कितना है आइडियल, देख लीजिए, इट्स 1:1. यस. What is the importance? So high quick ratio shows that firm has ability to meet liquid obligation in time. अगर ये quick ratio ज़्यादा रहेगा, किसी का 1:1 है, तो भी कह सकते हैं it is in the best situation. If it is getting high, suppose it is 1.5:1, 2:1, means they have more and more liquid assets. They can immediately pay their लिक्विड ऑब्लिगेशन, जो तुरंत पे करना है उसको वो पे कर सकते हैं, उनके पास एबिलिटी है. किन्हीं का कम होगा, सपोज किसी का है 0.8:1, तो उनको कहेंगे कि थोड़ी इनको दिक्कत हो सकती है इन पेइंग ऑफ, इन मीटिंग द लिक्विड ऑब्लिगेशन इन टाइम. इज इट क्लियर? Okay. Now we will go through some a question. So here you can see the practical question. From the following, compute current ratio and quick ratio. You will show the information. From using that, we have to calculate current ratio and quick ratio. So here is the question. Here you can see current investments is given, inventories is given, trade receivables is given, short term borrowings is given, and trade payables is given. So short term borrowings figure is here, you have to understand this is, and trade payables is this amount. Short term provision is there, other current liabilities, short term loans, tangible fixed assets, and cash equivalent is given. So everything is here. Now the first ratio we have to calculate is current ratio. Which ratio? Current ratio. So for this we need to know the formula first. So what is the formula for current ratio? Fine. Current assets by current liability. So what will be the figure of current assets? So the things which will be included for calculating the amount of current assets. तो ये हम यहाँ पे डिसाइड करते हैं, क्या क्या होगा बताइए. Current investment, yes, it will be included in current assets. Inventories, yes. Trade receivables, yes. Short term borrowings, is it asset or liability? So it will not include it. Trade payables, again it is liability. Short term provision, again it is the part of current liability. Other current liability, again part of liability. Short term loans, yes, short term loans and advances, there is a head inside the current asset, so it will be also included. Tangible fixed assets, these These are not the current assets. These are the non-current assets. So they will not included. Cash and cash equivalent, yes, they will get included. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 items which we will have to take for finding the amount of current asset. तो जोड़ के देखिए कितना हो रहा है आपके पास पेन नोटबुक सब है ना. So find out, write down the formula. Current ratio is equal to current assets minus divided by current liability, and current assets is equal to 40,000 plus 5,000 plus 2,000 plus 4,000 plus 10,000. कितना हो रहा है बताइए मुझे. 61,000. Fine. So 61,000 is the value of current assets. Fine. Now current liabilities. Here you can see the current liabilities also in blue color. So this one is the current liabilities, that is 20,000. This one trade payable is also current liabilities, short term provision, other current liabilities. So what will be the total value of current liabilities? 20,000 plus 2,500 plus 3,000 plus 5,000. 31,500. So current assets will be divided by current liabilities. So just solve it, you will find the ratio. Now in the same way discuss with quick ratio. So here if we will go to find out the quick ratio, what will be the formula? Quick assets or liquid assets divided by current liability, means what change? There will be no change in current liabilities. It will be 31,500 only. But quick assets will be, we have to exclude what? 30,500 हो रहा है. Okay, so 30,500. So 30,000 whatever it is coming, अभी सॉल्यूशन देखेंगे. बट क्विक एसेट्स में क्या होगा, तो करेंट एसेट्स का जो वैल्यू आया था उसमें से माइनस करते हैं किसको, इन्वेंट्रीज. So inventories will be deducted, that is 5,000 minus हो जाएगा. So it will become 56,500. नहीं 56,000, isn't it? ठीक है. अभी सॉल्यूशन देखिए. तो ऐसे करके हम लोग वैल्यूज निकालेंगे, और जो वैल्यूज निकाल लेंगे तो देखिए यहाँ पे इस तरह से हम लोग कर सकते हैं सॉल्यूशन. हियर यू कैन सी current ratio. So current assets is calculated, so 61,000, then current liabilities has get calculated, which is 30,500. Now current ratio, here formula is written. Finally after calculating the value of the elements, we are directly going to the ratio and putting the values. फिर से formula नहीं लिख रहे, पहले formula लिखेंगे, बाद में direct value put करेंगे after finding out the values of the concerned elements terms. 2:1. So is it ideal? Am I audible? Now go through the quick ratio. This is the quick ratio. Quick assets by current liabilities. Here we have calculated quick assets, current assets minus inventories minus prepaid expenses. So there is no value of prepaid expenses. So out of 61,000, 5 been removed. So it is now. So is it visible and audible? Okay. So let me complete. Current assets is used here only to find out the value of quick asset, which is also known as liquid assets. So current assets minus inventory minus prepaid expenses. Here we have find the value of quick assets. Current liabilities as it was previously calculated. Yes. So quick ratios value is 1.8 is to 1. What is the ideal quick ratio? 1 is to 1. So it is higher or lower? Higher. Means they have more ability. They are more efficiently. They able to meet their liquid liabilities. ठीक है? तो in this way we can easily calculate. और भी बहुत सारा एनालिसिस होगा आगे चल के. आज के लिए इतना ही है. एक क्वेश्चन अभी थोड़ा डिफरेंस समझ लेते हैं दोनों के बीच में. व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन दिस करंट रेशियो एंड लिक्विड रेशियो. इससे पहले मैं थोड़ा देख लेता हूँ. कुछ लोग परेशान है, कहीं कोई ज्वाइन तो नहीं करना चाह रहे. So let us discuss the difference. So simple, you have understood the things and easily you can understand the difference also. That current ratio establishes the relationship between current assets and current liabilities, whereas liquid ratio establishes relationship between liquid assets and current liabilities. So formula अगर याद है तो we can explain this distinction basis. And second is there is difference in ideality. Ideal the current ratio is 2 is to 1, whereas ideal liquid ratio is 1 is to 1. So these are the two differences between this current ratio and liquid ratio. So I think you all are able to understand, isn't it? Okay. Now some review questions. जितना भी मैंने बताया उससे कुछ क्वेश्चंस है, आप लोग ट्राई करिए आंसर करने का. सोचिए क्या हो सकता है आंसर. व्हाट इज मीन्ड बाय अकाउंटिंग रेशियोज. व्हाट आर लिक्विडिटी रेशियोज. व्हाट इज द आइडियल रेशियो फॉर करंट रेशियो. आप समझ लीजिए सब जवाब आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है. व्हाट इज द आइडियल रेशियो फॉर क्विक रेशियो. What are the two terms which when get excluded from current assets it becomes liquid assets. What are those two terms? Prepaid expenses. So all the questions are, I think you are able to answer. So you have to answer all these questions in your homework copy and you have to solve the question in classwork copy, which I have discussed right now. So I hope you will able to do all these things. I will share this PowerPoint presentation in the group also. No, it will be in the classroom. So you from there you can easily use it. Okay. So with this, thank you and have a great day. If still there is any question, you can ask, or otherwise I will go for taking your attendance.